Good afternoon, everybody, and welcome to this week's Team Kentucky Update. We're going to start talking about economic development in Shelbyville, Paducah, and the west end of Louisville. We'll announce more infrastructure investments, more aid for counties impacted by December's tornadoes, and a COVID update. But certainly in those economic development announcements, as well as infrastructure investments, it's a good day for Paducah today. So first, we talk a lot about the amazing economic momentum we've been seeing. And this has been a pretty exciting week by any standard. Yesterday, I was honored to be with officials in Shelby County as the leadership of Wieland North America celebrated an important groundbreaking. Wieland is a German company, Germany-based company that makes copper and copper alloy products that traces its roots back more than 200 years. Now the company is laying the groundwork for its next 200 years, and it's laying it right here in the Commonwealth. Yesterday, leaders broke ground on what will be the most technologically advanced copper recycling and refining facility anywhere in the world, and it's going to be in Kentucky. The plant will melt and recycle copper and copper alloy scrap for use in manufacturing semi-finished products for customers throughout North America. This is a $100 million investment that's creating 75 great jobs for Kentuckians, with many more planned in the future. In addition to this new facility, Wieland announced last year that it was building its North American headquarters in Louisville. That's really important. This is a worldwide global company, and they moved their North American headquarters to Louisville. That was an $8.8 million investment that was set to create an additional 75 jobs. They've already created more than 100 based on comments from the head of North America for Wieland just yesterday. Wieland North America is another great example of a world-class company believing in us, picking us right here in Kentucky for one of the most technologically advanced facilities anywhere in the world, and we will not let them down. I want to thank all the officials in Shelby County who worked on this, as well as leaders of Wieland North America for helping to put together such a great event, and we look forward to getting this thing built, getting that many more Kentuckians employed, and being known as having the best of this type of facility in the world. This morning, we also announced an investment in West Kentucky. Leaders at HHO Carbon Clean Systems are investing over $6.6 million to locate the company's first Kentucky manufacturing operation in Paducah. And this project is creating 35 quality jobs for area residents. HHO manufactures hydrogen-based products, including carbon cleaning systems for diesel engines for improved fuel efficiency. Now the company is expanding to produce hydrogen-fueled torches for use in heating, welding, brazing, and cutting. These patent-pending hydro torches provide a safer alternative to traditional welding torches, which require the storage of compressed gas and can emit harmful greenhouse gases. The future is even brighter for this company, as its leaders are in the early stage of development of additional hydrogen-powered products that will help lower emissions and increase fuel efficiency for vehicles and provide residential heating and cooling services with zero emissions. Thank you to the leaders at HHO for selecting Kentucky for this tremendous project. We look forward to helping the company continue to grow. So that incredible momentum that we had last year, record-breaking, with a record $11.2 billion in new private sector investment and a record 18,000 new jobs, continues in 2022. This will be one of our best economic development years in our history. We hope that it might even rival last year, though that's going to be pretty difficult to attain. But just look at where we are. All of these new jobs. We've set the lowest unemployment rate in Kentucky's history in back-to-back months, and we have the fewest Kentuckians on unemployment in the last 21 years. Yes, our president is challenging with everything we're facing, from a continued pandemic to inflation to the Russian invasion of Ukraine. But our tomorrow is so exciting. So we will continue to do everything we can to provide relief today. But I hope people don't lose sight of and don't lose the excitement of the brighter tomorrow that is to come. There's a place in the post-COVID, post-inflation, post-invasion economy for Kentucky that is bigger and brighter than any that we have ever imagined. Another economic development opportunity is also a job training and a healthcare announcement. On Monday, I was honored to take part in one of the most important and hopeful events since the start of my administration. See, when we've been talking about these jobs, we've been talking about opportunity. It's a historic moment where we have to make sure that everyone is included. That's why we've celebrated announcements in Eastern Kentucky and in Western Kentucky, areas that are too often left out. And that's why Monday we celebrated an incredible groundbreaking in the neighborhood or the area of West Louisville. See, far too often in moments of potential prosperity, the same areas and sometimes the same people are left out. But at a time with the lowest unemployment rate in our history, we have to include everybody because it's the right and the moral thing to do. But it's also going to be necessary to make sure we're filling all of these incredible jobs. So state and local officials joined leaders with Goodwill Industries of Kentucky and Norton Healthcare to break ground on a $100 million opportunity campus for West Louisville. Goodwill and Norton are a couple of longtime top-tier Team Kentucky partners, and seeing them join forces for the benefit of this community is amazing. The people of West Louisville deserve access to career services, and they're going to get the first hospital in that area in almost 150 years. You shouldn't have to take 2 to 3 buses to see a doctor or to get the assistance that you need. And with Norton's $70 million hospital and Goodwill Industries' $30 million campus, along with our NIA Center, we're going to have 300 plus jobs in really a 4-block area that we hope can grow even more jobs around it. And this opportunity campus is really providing wraparound services in a special way. They brought in Big Brothers, Big Sisters, Kentuckiana Works, Volunteers of America, the YMCA, the Legal Aid Society, the Kentucky College of Barbering, and the University of Louisville School of Dentistry, among many others. Just this opportunity campus, 200 jobs in West Louisville with an average annual pay of just under $60,000, at least a couple hundred construction jobs in the area during the same time. And these organizations have made a significant commitment to the minority hiring and participation in that construction. The campus expects to serve 50,000 people each year with their services. And the full economic impact of this campus is going to be $18.7 million each and every year. And it's going to place more than 600 Kentuckians in full-time jobs each year it is open. This is a key moment for our Commonwealth. This is making sure that opportunity extends everywhere. So I want to thank Russ Cox and everybody at Norton Healthcare. Thanks to Devon Holt, Amy Luttrell, and everybody at Goodwill Industries of Kentucky. This was a hope-filled special day. So one way that we are able to make announcements like this and the other two possible are investments, specifically investment in infrastructure. The reason that we have Ford Motor Company building the largest facility in the history of Ford Motor Company, making the biggest investment in the history of the Commonwealth of Kentucky, is that we invested in the infrastructure of that site for decades. So today, we're announcing infrastructure dollars going all over the Commonwealth because everyone deserves their opportunity at a Glendale. So today, we're first announcing almost $500,000 in grants for 8 separate projects at 4 of our public river ports. Because when you think about transportation, it's not just roads and bridges, it's also air and water. And so these ports are in Eddyville, Hickman, Owensboro, and Paducah. The funding was appropriated by the 2022 General Assembly. It'll go in the form of matching grants for needs ranging from facility upgrades to upgrading equipment. So here's the list. $215,287 is going to the Eddyville Riverport and Industrial Development Authority. It's going to go towards the purchase of a better winch system for loading and unloading barges and to turn 3 acres of property into a dry bulk storage yard. $81,800 is going to Hickman Fulton County Riverport Authority for dredging and for repairs to 3 mooring cells. $130,192 to the Owensboro River Authority that goes towards replacing a crane bucket wheel loader, and grapple for loading barges with scrap steel. And $72,721 are going to the Paducah-McCracken County Riverport Authority towards construction of a steel commodity hopper and gate system. These grants are going to continue to help us be able to market Kentucky, to be able to reach customers and markets all across the United States and throughout the world, thanks to having everything from rail to road to air and, yes, to river. Altogether, these 4 awards. Today we have another set of infrastructure awards as well. These are discretionary transportation funds that will go towards local road repairs and improvements in 4 counties. Altogether, a little over $1.8 million. And all 4 of these projects will contribute to economic development. These are discretionary funding through the Department of Rural and Municipal Aid within our transportation cabinet. So first, Perry County Fiscal Court has been awarded $856,100 that goes towards resurfacing of 3.3 miles of 2 important local routes, Coalfields Industrial Road and Truss Joist Lane. Both roads lead to their industrial park. McCracken County Fiscal Court. It's a really good day for McCracken County. It's being awarded $500,000 for improvements to about 1/3 of a mile at Stuart Nelson Park Road in Paducah. When it's completed, a narrow street with inadequate drainage will have been improved to 3 lanes, including a center turn lane for businesses. It'll also have new sidewalks. And it'll be the main access to a new athletic complex with 15 soccer, baseball, and softball fields, plus a playground, grandstand, and parking for 800 vehicles. The Ohio County Fiscal Court has been awarded $400,000 to support the resurfacing and extension of Old Liberty Church Road within the Bluegrass Crossing Regional Business Park at Beaver Dam. The extension of that roadway will serve a proposed $17 million distillery project that will have 30 employees in good-paying jobs. And finally, the City of Russellville, $52,385 for resurfacing and repair of hazards on a 1/4-mile section of Earl Davis Drive. City tells us that 3 local industries that employ 125 to 150 workers on average are located on that drive. And that's the nature of the business that's there. Heavy semi-truck loads of materials, as many as 90 a day, moving up and down it. So the roadway has developed numerous severe base failures, and critical repairs are needed, and we are making them. We are proud of these investments. These are investments that we are making all over Kentucky so that every area can compete for the jobs of tomorrow that are picking us more so than ever before in my lifetime as we continue to build the most sophisticated, the biggest, you pick it. We're doing it. Also mention that I got a chance to meet with a number of folks from Ford and SK Innovation just today in town on further planning and work on that Blue Oval SK Battery Park. I'm still thrilled at what we are going to do there. Next, we're providing additional funds to counties hit by tornadoes in December. So since early May, we've announced the award of more than $37.4 million in SAFE funds to communities in Western Kentucky. Remember, these are the funds appropriated by the General Assembly, ultimately opened up on the last day, that helps us help counties and cities and utilities to help with cleanup and rebuilding, to make sure that the costs of that aren't borne by the citizens. So today I'm announcing another $800,000 in additional SAFE fund awards to 2 eligible counties to help with FEMA ineligible expenses and the purchase of heavy equipment to continue to facilitate storm debris removal. The latest rounds go to Hopkins and Taylor counties. The nearly $800,000 today will cover expenses for more than $134,000 of FEMA ineligible debris removal in Taylor County, and more than $655,000 for the purchase of heavy equipment by Hopkins County. It's been more than 6 months since those tornadoes hit, just 2 weeks before Christmas Day. So today's news follows last week's announcements of funds from the Team Western Kentucky Tornado Relief Fund going to support farmers in the area whose costs are going to be significantly higher because they're granary. And the only local granary was almost completely destroyed. That announcement was $3.25 million. It's going to come out about 50 cents a bushel that will help these farmers with the added expense of having to transport their crops a little bit further, likely to the river, as opposed to the local granary. I really appreciate the county judge there in Graves County, though this is broader than just Graves, putting together a call with myself and a group of farmers that talked through with us what they were facing and then provided ideas. Really, they provided this solution, and we were proud that we could come together with them, meet this need. This is all family-owned farms, exactly what people contributed these dollars for, that are going to keep the farms operating and hopefully defray some of these additional costs. More than $26.5 million has been distributed now from the Team Western Kentucky Tornado Relief Fund. It's going towards rebuilding 300 homes, paying for every funeral, providing an extra award to everyone who qualified under FEMA, whether insured or uninsured, homeowner or renter. And we are going to continue to help out in every way we can. Now let's give a quick COVID update. Let's show the new map from this last week. Let's show the map first, if we can. That's okay. Certainly more red counties, I think, than we have had since we had our significant plummet from Omicron. But still, a lot of green counties mixed in there. If you are in these red counties, especially if they have been red multiple weeks in a row, and I could see a few that are here, you really ought to look at the guidance really carefully. In red counties, you ought to wear masks when in public and indoors, especially around larger crowds. When we look at new cases, and remember, we don't get reports of all new cases. Now there are so many at-home tests. We really see that it does not look like we are in a continued escalation. It looks like we are either plateaued or maybe seeing a little bit of a drop overall from where we were going. But there's no question that there is a lot of COVID out there. Everybody knows a couple people that have had it over the last week at least. And most all of them are going to be okay, though some of them get a little bit sick, get more sick than any of us would want to be. So watch this, make decisions that protect yourself, get tested if you feel sick, and certainly don't go to work or out in public if you are sick. Positivity rate, shows a little bit more of what looks like a plateau as we're moving up and down a little bit. Positivity rate, again, pretty tough to gauge as compared to previous times in the pandemic, because these are the professionally administered tests. These aren't the at home, and so by the time you go in to get one of these, you think you are likely to have COVID. When we look at vaccinations, just showing the overall chart, just one change here: 25 to 39 years old went up 1 percentage point now to 65%. And I'd remind everybody out there that when we think about vaccinations, you look at people who can make their own healthcare decisions. We're now 77% of all Kentuckians have decided to at least get their first shot of the vaccination series. A lot more to do, especially with younger kids. And of course, we'll eventually be adding to this chart since it's now opened up for children younger than 11. So while we do see, some more COVID out there, we also see just a little bit of an uptick on hospitalization. I don't think it's anything to be worried about yet, if we can show the line chart, but to be mindful. Certainly since we hit the lowest point, we have increased some. But if you look at any point in this pandemic, this is the most moderate increase that we have seen, and we don't necessarily expect it to continue, but we will watch it. And certainly when it comes to real serious illness, ICU, if you'll show it, and ventilators still at the lowest points that they have been throughout the pandemic. Finally, our team, Kentucky AllStar, comes from Monday as well, where I was able to attend the annual Shape America conference, where I had the honor of presenting an award named after an incredible Kentuckian who passed away about 14 months ago, my aunt, Mary Ann Miller. Mary Ann was a fierce and tireless champion for Kentucky's young people, particularly for making sure they had access to a quality education and quality health care. She was also probably my dad's sibling who I was closest with, that lived nearby and was at just about every major moment in my life. She loved young people. She loved the Commonwealth, and she demonstrated that every day, particularly in the 30 years that she spent working for the Department of Education, where she earned everybody's respect. Her initials were MAM, and everybody called her ma'am. Mary Ann's example lives on in the work of Team Kentucky, and this is the second year I've been able to present this award. I've had trouble getting through it both years because the grief is certainly still there. The award winner this year was the Thompson Scholars Program, named after Dr. Aaron Thompson. As you all know, Aaron heads our Council of Post-Secondary Education. He's a great person working hard for the citizens of Kentucky. And the Thompson Scholars Program began as a way of serving the needs of underserved students in Appalachia. It focuses on a neighborhood in Clay County where Dr. Thompson is from. That is the neighborhood of Town Branch Road in Manchester. I suggest and would request everybody go read about the Thompson Scholars, providing true wraparound services from pre-K. That's right, because they've got it right, knowing the importance of pre-K through STEAM, college prep, field trips, and so many more. This group is doing phenomenal work. So thank you to Dr. Thompson, but he would say thank you to everybody who is working on the Thompson Scholars Program. It includes his daughter, who is the chair of the board, and proud of everything that they are doing. All right. With that, we will open it up to questions. We've got a number of folks today. We'll make sure we spend plenty of time. 4 in studio and a whole bunch of others on the phone. So we'll start with the first RSVP, Tom Latek.
Thank you, Governor. I was wondering if you had any reaction to the issuance of the temporary restraining order in the EMW case.
So right now, there are rulings coming out in at least 3 courts across Kentucky. The ruling in Jefferson Circuit has enjoined or prevented from going into effect Kentucky's trigger law. And what that means is that generally the law today is what it was last Thursday before the Dobbs ruling triggered that total ban. I've said before, the trigger law is an extremist law that the vast majority of Kentuckians disagree with. It provides 0 exceptions for victims of rape and incest, giving them no options despite the fact that they have been harmed. And what they're going through is through absolutely 0 fault of their own. It's also creating significant concerns in everything from IVF to other areas. And I think we're just beginning to see the challenges it's going to create. But listen, I was the state's top prosecutor. I saw young girls in their teens or sometimes earlier that had been violated, sometimes even by family members. And if the trigger law goes into or stays in effect, they will have 0 options, and that's wrong. Carolina.
If, this proceeds in court and eventually the trigger law goes back into effect, have you considered any potential action that you may take? In Wisconsin, their governor has said that he will offer clemency to any doctor that is prosecuted under their abortion ban law. Is this something you would consider here in Kentucky?
Well, we're still trying to figure out where the courts are going to come out. There's so many of them right now with their rulings. I was asked the other day if I consider a special session. Well, in the past, 3 years, this General Assembly has passed a trigger law. It's passed HB 3. It's put the constitutional amendment on the ballot, and none of them have exceptions for rape and for incest. In fact, in the last session, hoping that reasonableness would prevail, there was an amendment filed in the Senate that got a roll call vote on can we make exceptions for rape and incest, and it was defeated, I think, 26-9. So right now, we have a General Assembly that does not appear like they want to show the compassion to victims out there that deserve options. We'll see as we move forward where this goes. but I'll certainly continue in every way I can to advocate for those that have been harmed and to provide them and to advocate for them to have those options. But this is still very new and very recent.
So just to clarify, is clemency for doctors on or off the table?
Haven't even looked at it yet. Joe Ragusa.
Axios is reporting that President Biden plans to meet with governors about Roe v. Wade. Have you had any discussions with the White House about a potential meeting? I think the report says tomorrow.
Yeah, I saw that report too. If I've been invited, I haven't seen it. That doesn't mean that I'm not. I just haven't seen it.
Well, I guess to follow up on that, as far as, obviously discussion federally about this, have you had any discussions with, our federal delegation about this, and how big of a role do you anticipate playing in maybe lobbying for abortion rights at that level? So
I haven't had a discussion with our federal delegation. I believe where they are is pretty clear. Certainly, I'm being very clear that the trigger law in Kentucky is extremist, and any part of our federal delegation that agrees, I hope they would speak up too. Again, let's in the very least all agree that a victim of rape or incest deserves options. Bodie.
Governor, the state GOP has offered a lot of criticism over using the term extremist to describe the trigger law. They point to
The state GOP has criticized me?
Yes, sir.
Wow, that's
Nothing
shocker.
around that. They point to the number of Democrats that voted for the law, including one of your own advisors. I'm curious if you have a response.
well, the attorney general or the GOP claiming that the trigger law is not extremist is a little disingenuous. I mean, do they believe that it's not extremist to remove every option from rape and incest victims? Will they look them in the eye and tell them that? And this response that it can't be extremist, look at what this person or that person did, is exactly what kids do when they're caught doing something wrong. They say, but Billy or Tommy did it. Right's right and wrong's wrong, no matter who voted what way. And removing any option from a victim of rape or incest is wrong. Karen Czar, WUKY.
Thank you, Governor. Thank you, Virginia. Governor, we've interviewed some doctors at hospitals who have had to, especially in the last few days, perform procedures for women's health. And they've had to change how they do it because of the law, meaning more than one doctor had to sign on for legal reasons. They are still unclear right now if this decision means they can also go back to how they used to legally do procedures, or do they need to continue on with having more than one doctor sign off? And do you know the answer to that? Thank you.
Well, first they need to get their own counsel. My law degree is frozen. But certainly they need to look at the injunction. It lists specific statutes within it. And I believe that if they have their counsel analyze that, that's whose advice they need to take. The trigger law is already creating, again, the extremist trigger law is already creating consequences. I'm aware, or at least I've been told, about a 12-year-old impregnated by her stepfather. Two different families that are now being told they have to relook at IVF. I've got friends that wouldn't be here today without that. I've got friends whose kids, who are friends with my kids, wouldn't be here without a miracle of science that helps those that may struggle a little bit more. Having that child that they have always dreamed of. And now imagine if you struggled through that and you're on one of these programs, somebody saying, well, wait. Again, we'll see what happens in Jefferson Circuit Court and the others. But my hope is in some way or form, we can move away from this extremism, because I would tell you that most Kentuckians disagree with a law that refuses to have any options for victims of rape and incest, and would certainly, I think, disagree with people who want to be parents not having options like IVF. Joe Sonka from the Courier-Journal.
Thanks, Governor. Did White House staff inform anyone from your office, either last week or this week, that the president planned to nominate Chad Meredith to a federal judicial spot in the Eastern District? And if so, what kind of feedback did you give back to the White House?
My team was informed late last week that the president intended to nominate Chad Meredith to the U.S. District Court for the Eastern District of Kentucky. So my understanding right now is it has not been submitted, which I hope means in the very least it's on pause. If the president makes that nomination, it is indefensible. This is an individual who aided and advised on the most egregious abuse of power by a governor in my lifetime. He specifically aided Governor Bevin in pardoning murderers and rapists, including an individual who taped a gang rape of a minor, of an individual who I guess his family had a fundraiser for the governor. Whether it's connected, got a pardon, and now has been reconvicted of murder by a second jury. And more comes out every day. If you are a lawyer that advised on that and went along with it, you should be disqualified from serving in a role where you would hand out sentences. I mean, these are individuals who were pardoned who are walking free today despite committing terrible, violent crimes. I don't know how the president could say he's for public safety if he makes this nomination, and I don't know how our current attorney general says he's pro-law enforcement given that he hired and employed this individual after the pardons, including after all the information came out for so long. Melissa Patrick, Kentucky Health News.
Hi, Governor. So WDRB just gave an update on the West Louisville passport development that is now Molina Healthcare's and came to a stall in 2019. So I'm just curious if you have any comment on this situation, and also is there any way that the state could help move this project forward, and if so, how?
So I got an update on this project not long ago. The ownership of the property, my understanding, was caught up in litigation and has now been resolved. So I believe that there is additional momentum. I've been advised that Molina is committed to a West End location and that location is the preferred location. Obviously, the world's changed a little bit in how many people work in an office and how many don't since COVID, but I think that there is momentum once again for that project, and it's important. I'd like to see it in that area, but bringing hundreds of jobs to West Louisville, whether it's in that area or another location, again, in West Louisville, I just want to see that commitment of the jobs going there come through. And from everything I've seen, I think it will. And I sense a real commitment by Molina to make that happen. Gabby Mabra or Mabra at WLWT in Cincinnati.
Hi, Governor. I just wanted to ask you a quick question. We are currently in an activated state of emergency amid the record high gas prices. So how long do you think that will be in place, and how far do the prices need to drop before lifting that emergency status?
Yeah, I did declare a state of emergency on gas prices. It was just another step to try to take to provide Kentuckians some relief. My hope certainly is that supply is catching up, that the federal government will look at temporary steps like we requested on reformulated gas or others, maybe related to butane. We're going to be putting out a letter on that as well. You know, anything we can do to provide a little bit of help for our folks. Certainly, we'll need to see prices come down from where they are right now. We'll see the number of complaints that come in and where those prices are to guide us. I don't have a specific dollar point for when we would withdraw that state of emergency. David Winter, WKRC, Cincinnati.
Thank you, Governor. This abortion stay and its related case will become irrelevant if the state constitutional amendment passes that will ensure that abortions are illegal in Kentucky. What are you going to do to try and defeat that amendment?
Well, certainly I'm going to continue to lend my voice to what I believe is the overwhelming view of Kentuckians, and that is that victims of rape and incest deserve options. And certainly my personal belief is that the law as we had it before, that creates a safe and ultimately legal procedure, but with reasonable restrictions, which is where the law was before last Friday, is the type of balance that we ought to be looking for. You are right in that if the constitutional amendment goes through, it would eliminate any ruling to the contrary from the state court that it's in front of right now, based on what I have seen is argued within it. Divya Karthikeyan. Okay, well, I appreciate it. We will be back next week. Thank you all very much.